There is some wild move right now as far as the yen-dollar equation is concerned. It'll be interesting to see. We'll get Atsi back, but for now, 96.49. That's quite a jump. They're 0.5% higher as far as the peg is concerned. So clearly, that is also Abenomics playing itself out. Atsi, coming back to you, last question: is the downgrade risk still there as far as the sovereign rating is concerned for India?
Well, our outlook on the rating is stable. So we believe that the risks on both the upside and the downside pretty much balance themselves out. We still think that growth is going to remain quite subdued in the near term. We still think that the fiscal deficit is relatively high compared to similarly rated countries. And we believe that the current account deficit is going to take some time before it narrows significantly. But having said that, we believe that all the other metrics, whether it's the debt to GDP ratio, the debt sustainability ratio, the things that we look at in terms of the sovereign credit profile, they're quite appropriate for India, given its Baa3 rating. So our outlook is stable for the rating.
Right. Atsi, thank you so much for joining us. Let's do a quick look at Ranbaxy. So the saga for Ranbaxy continues. Supreme Court has agreed to take an early view of the public interest litigation that was filed. And has asked for an early hearing. I think the hearing is next week. So clearly the PIL that was filed against Ranbaxy, barring its sales and the manufacturing units, would be heard by the Supreme Court next week. Clearly this would be a big one for Ranbaxy. Watch out for more on the stock. Let's move on. Let's stay on the broader macro theme. Chetan Haya of Morgan Stanley spoke to us and of course said that the recovery holds. But again, recovery is going to be a protracted and a slow one, and there is more evidence likely in the next 6 to 4 months. He says capex cycle is improving, but it's a very, very slow process as far as capex is concerned. Let's hear out his response as far as the India growth story is concerned.
I would say that there is more of a debate between whether the growth is going to decelerate further or it's stabilizing here,
right,
rather than recovery. The focus is more on whether it even stops here or it goes further down.
Where do you stand on the subject?
Well, I'm at the other end. I think that the recovery is taking hold. We'll see more evidence of it in the next 4 to 6 months. But the first sign of it this time that we had to watch was exports. This is a very different cycle. In the past, you would look at auto sales, you would look at consumption indicators, and then think that the economy is recovering. Because usually when growth slows down, the government runs fiscal deficit at a higher level, consumption goes up higher, then comes capex, and then you have a normal cycle recovery. But this time is different in the sense that we just have no room to run higher fiscal deficit. In fact, we are tightening. So consumption is actually the one which is taking hit, and it's sort of the last leg which had to fall before we can come out of it, because we had to build saving by cutting consumption. We have to bring down inflation. And so in that sense, I think the recovery is going to be different. What we need to watch is what is happening to exports. And I do agree that capex is an important element of this recovery. But to the extent to which exports are recovering, that's the one big source of final demand for the capex. It is 24% of GDP. The government spending has been too tight. There will be some normalization that will support.
Which you think will happen this year, fiscal 14?
I think it's already beginning to happen. April data shows that the government spending is picking up. September 12 to March 13, the government spending was way too tight.
Right.
And now going forward, we think it will normalize. It doesn't need to be so tight. Even if you want to assume that they are going to still target that deficit number that they have stated in the budget. Even just to manage that number, they will have to have some normalization in expenditure growth. So that supports some bit of transfers to the households. The inflation, which I look at, is CPI. That will also moderate, improve the real purchasing power of the consumer. So you will get some improvement in consumption in 4 to 6 months' time. Exports are already recovering. Those are the two sources of final demand. Now, until this is coming back, you won't see capex. But to the extent to which these two, I think, are going to come back, capex will also improve. Yes, it will not be a full V-shaped recovery in capex, but coming out of such a deep problem of 4 years of compression in capex, I think a little bit of improvement in capex itself will be a good start.